to your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just some high-flying wren, fast vertical stems, and professors from Penn watching eagles eating prey like Pazookies on birthdays. It's Philadelphia, Marissa, Bo, and Zach kicking it. Cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some
Birds with Friends.
The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some
Birds with Friends.
Marissa, Bo, and Zach are here to squawk. Don't miss the mistress talk on some.
You know the term salt of the earth? I guess I screw up the term. I call it dirt of the earth. I said it like the most earnest way possible.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Birds with Friends on a Thursday evening. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, Marissa Dunn here to talk about what we heard from Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni this afternoon at the NovaCare Complex. We've got some coaching staff updates to talk about. Then we're going to close in the second segment with Turkeys to the Draft Kingdom, one of our pre-draft games. Now we are looking for 2 additional categories. This is the game in which Zach and I put turkeys on different draft outcomes, like are they going to pick higher than 10, exactly at 10, or lower than 10? You know, are they going to draft a quarterback, yes or no? So if you are live in the comments, give us some suggestions. We'll pick out 2 to use for that at the end of the show. But, we heard some stuff from the main guys in charge today, so I figure we send it right over to the Stone Cold Newsman himself, Zach Berman.
Well, Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni spoke today at the NovaCare Complex, and we will get to what they said. As far as the news, the Eagles completed their coaching staff today with internal promotions and outside hires. The internal promotions included DK McDonald, who's now the team's defensive backs coach, replacing Denard Wilson. He got promoted from assistant. Kevin Patullo was given associate head coach, just a change in title, no change in responsibility, still the pass game coordinator. Tyler Scudder, now the assistant linebackers coach. The additions are Mike D'Angelo, the team's defensive quality control coach. Taver Johnson, now the team's assistant D-backs coach. Ronnell Williams, the team's first Nichols coach. Tyler Yelk is the assistant to the head coach. And the hire that trumped the Jalen Hurts news at a press conference today. 3 questions about a senior associate defensive coach before anything was asked about the franchise quarterback being paid a record-setting contract. That shows how you move the needle. And not just that, we will get to this in the analysis portion of the show. Fascinating mechanics from the Eagles, where pulling the announcement from the website. We'll get to that. Matt Patricia, Bo's favorite assistant coach, favorite former head coach, so much so that Bo tries to look like him on camera with pencils in his ears. Now the Eagles,
I'm one-upping him. I've got 2. He's only got 1. I'm much more man. I'm a much more football guy than he is.
Defensive coach. So Nick Sirianni and the Eagles.
My pencils are also bigger, if you'll notice. So
Nick trying to round out his coaching staff with experience, head coaching experience, high-level coordinator experience, and he chooses someone who a team captain very vocally criticizes and holds a grudge for.
To everyone he knows. Hello, my name is Slay, and I hate Matt Patricia.
Nick Sirianni says he spoke to Darius Slay. He said he spoke to Matt Patricia, but this will be a fascinating story to monitor in the coming weeks and months. We will discuss it here on the show. Back to you in the studio, Bo.
Okay, Zach, let's talk about Matt Patricia, because what a coup this is.
For Jalen Hurts, yes.
What a coup this is. Let me read you the DVOA finishes of Matt Patricia's teams and units since he has become a coordinator. 2022 Patriots offense finished 24th. 2020 Lions as a team overall finished 27th. On defense, his specialty, they finished 32nd. 2019 Detroit Lions, 21st overall, 23rd on defense. 2018 Detroit Lions, his first year in charge, 23rd overall, 21st on defense. 2017 Patriots defense. We all remember that Super Bowl performance and what a defensive game plan they put together. This is the performance that got him the Lions job. They finished 31st in defensive DVOA. The year before that, 16th. The year before that, 11th. The year before that, 12th. The year before that, 20th. The year before that, his first year as a coordinator, 17th. This man has never coordinated a top 10 unit in anything. He hasn't had an above average unit since 2015 or 2016, rather, when they finished 16th, barely top half. Listen, we don't know what the scope of his responsibilities are. So maybe this is like a lot of complaining for a guy who they're giving a soft landing to, and he's going to be just writing up reports and he's not going to be in the building. Nevertheless, it is such a glaring reminder of like the incestuousness of NFL coaching circles, the uncreativeness about filling out these roles, the cronyism. It's just, and don't sell me on this guy's got head coach experience, because we asked Nick Sirianni about that when he put his initial staff together. He said he didn't need it. He had guys in his Rolodex he could call, including Frank Reich. And guess what? They had 2 great years without a guy on staff with head coaching experience. So don't give me that. Maybe it is because you've got a relatively inexperienced defensive coordinator in Sean Desai. You want somebody to bounce things off of. But like, and maybe part of the problem is the Eagles were late to getting to put their defensive staff together because they were in the Super Bowl and most of the other hires had been made. However, knowing like what Darius Slay says about this guy, I feel like it is so short-sighted, and like you are just inviting drama for a guy who, based on merit, does not deserve any special favors.
So to your point there about the drama of it, I mean, clearly the Eagles were aware of this because they did not announce him as part of the staff. They put a picture on the website with the staff. Tim McManus from ESPN notices it, tweets it out. Then they go on and they delete the picture from the website. And then they do this whole thing during the press conference that he hasn't been hired yet, but it's leaning toward this direction. And then a source tells Adam Schefter during the press conference that it's official. So it was so clearly there was something that, look, I'm not like outraged by it because it's a low leverage. Well, like it's a senior assistant defensive coach. My point to this here is for the reasons that you mentioned, right? Like the baggage associated with this. Is this really where you want to exhaust your equity? You know, like
why is this who you're going to bat for?
Yeah. I tell my son all the time, like we go to Five Below. Okay. I'm giving a personal thing. We go to Five Below, on like certain weekends, and he's allowed to pick out one thing there, and he like scans the whole store, and I'll be like, make sure you make this worth it, right? Because this is going to be your one present for this month or whatever. And so so point being, like, you know, do you really want to exhaust that on Matt Patricia? How many recycled coaches are out there who could fill this role? You have to find the one who your defensive captain openly like despises, who your fan base has an issue with. And again, this is not like personal with Matt Patricia, and that I don't know him. He might be like value added to the staff. I'm just saying, for what that job is, senior assistant defensive coach, there has to be someone out there who's a little like less polarizing. That do you have to use the equity that you've created from the Super Bowl run on like, this is where I'm going to plant my flag, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's silly to make so much of this, but
yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Like legitimately makes me question their decision-making. Like,
so like
we're doing, we're going to bat for Matt Patricia.
I very seldom like laugh at press conference questions, right? Because, but when there were 3 questions about Patricia before Jalen Hurts' question, I laughed, and it's like this is what they invited. But you know, this isn't like the media overplaying. Like this is what they. Well,
also if they had just announced him with the original staff, it wouldn't have been such a big deal. It was that it was a great job by Tim catching that they had the thing. Like,
yeah, but so point being, and I'm not comparing this I'm not comparing this to Riley Cooper, right? That's like a much different thing. But I remember when the Riley Cooper thing happened, my reaction was like, is this where Chip Kelly wants to exhaust his equity? Like
Right.
this is what he's going to stand up for. And this I shouldn't even have brought that up. My point being that
I see what you're saying though. It's like
of all the things, you made the Super Bowl, you're rolling. There's all this good. You just signed your quarterback. Everyone in this town loves the Eagles. There's not a bad thing that people are saying right now about the Eagles. And like, you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use this goodwill, okay? And I'm going to hire a senior defensive assistant who my captain doesn't like, who my fan base mocks, right? And then I'm going to pretend it didn't happen and try to slide it in there. Right? They'll never notice. So that's the part of it that just doesn't add up to me. But again, from like if I take a step back, it's not that big a deal. Like, there are so many more important things going on with the Eagles than this. To me, it's just almost comical that like this is how it transpired.
And just think about it though. Like, we know Slay, we know his personality.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a guy who's gonna I asked Nick about whether he has talked to him about it, and he said, yeah, of course. Like you run through everything like that. And I'm sure that Slay's like whatever, but like, if there's any hands-on coaching being done by Matt Patricia with players, Slay is going to tell guys in the locker room, don't listen to anything that guy says. Like, F that guy. Like, he tried to ruin my career. Like, it's why?
That's
why?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very weird. Well, yeah. I mean, people are in the comments. We've got lots of people saying bad vibes already. It's hard to argue with that, but I do look forward to listening to Slay's next podcast. All right, Zach, what else did we learn? And I think, Howie Roseman's quote was telling here in him saying that, am I going to give you any honest answers in this pre-draft press conference? The answer is no. So take that, like everything that he said today, with a grain of salt. But what were the things that jumped out to you that you thought were interesting?
Well, let's start with the Hurts contract. This was the first time anyone with the team addressed it. And I thought the way they framed it as a win-win, at least in April 2023, it is a win-win. It's a win for Jalen Hurts in that he gets a $255 million contract and the highest average annual salary in the NFL. So that's clearly a win, right? And it's a win for the Eagles in that he was willing to do this deal now. He didn't wait to see how the market was set up. He could have planted his flag and been like, I want to see what Burrow makes. I want to see what Herbert makes. I want to see what Lamar Jackson makes, right? He did not do that. He was willing to get a deal that worked for him, like we talked about on Monday, and that it was structured in a way that allows the Eagles to build talent around him. And part of that is because, as Howie mentioned, Jeffrey Lurie, as there's bonus money in there that they can spread out over the life of the deal. But bottom line, this was a win-win. I thought a good quote in there today was when there were two questions about if the money will affect Jalen and if they had conversations about it, and Howie said something along the lines of, and I want to be careful paraphrasing Howie here, said something along the lines of, yeah, the conversation was it won't affect Jalen. So they have utter conviction on the player. And then I thought even probably the most interesting thing that he said was a Bo Wolf question. And Bo was one of the stars of the press conference today. For anyone watching, I already saw. There's people who watched the press conference apparently who I was reading the comments when you were talking earlier, who want a discussion about your power move over Dave Zangaro.
Now I felt bad about that one. I did not know that Dave was trying to ask a question. It's because the two of them on the podium were just joking with each other. I thought there was like a laugh break. Yeah. So it was a chance for me to get in. I didn't realize that Dave was in the middle of a question.
Now, so Bo asked a question that's been a topic on Birds with Friends since the Super Bowl, which was, will Jalen Hurts' play have to change now, or will they approach that differently? Something along those lines. And Nick said, I don't know if he thought of this on the spot or if they prepped him for this line, but yeah, we did not pay him more to play him less. And the point being that Jalen plays this way, earned this contract because this way, and they're going to keep playing him this way.
Yeah. Now, I mean, he did acknowledge that like this is a thing that they have to talk about.
Yes.
And it's not like I don't think the changes come in like asking Jalen Hurts to play differently.
Yeah.
I think the changes come in the personnel you build, in the plays that you call, and like you don't have to, every run doesn't have to be a read option. You can tell him hand the ball off. And also, like, if there are guys, the more that Jalen improves as a pocket passer, the less he has to run, right? And I think we all expect some of those improvements to continue happening just because we've seen him get better every single year. I think some of this is sort of natural as he also gets older, but it is definitely a thing that they need to think through when they have the offseason to really think about big picture stuff.
And on my drive home, I listened to I heard Ike Reese talking about this. They played your question. Actually, their top takeaway of the press conference was Bo's question.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, Jack Fritz is a big Bo guy, as we know. But Ike agrees with Bo. Ike was saying he doesn't like how much Jalen runs, and he says they can say this now, but they won't say it if Jalen has a broken leg, right? Then they'll change the way he plays. I don't think there's going to be a big difference, maybe like a marginal difference, but I think as I've said, you're signing up for the Jalen Hurts experience. This is why you pay Jalen Hurts, because he is a dynamic player, and any less dynamic he's not the same player. So that's the way I view it. But we've had this conversation for weeks, and we'll probably have it for months.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah,
as far as the draft,
I just think there's like, let him play like that in the playoffs. Let's keep the bigger picture in mind.
Yeah. I'll ask you this. Well, are we finished with Jalen? Because
I think so. Yeah.
So an interpretation that I don't know if it was just brought up by hosts as I was scrolling through the channels today, to incite calls, which is in honesty what their job is to do. But I saw this on social media too. Was people interpreted Howie Roseman's comments that mean Bijan Robinson is in play at 10. How did you interpret that, and what comment do you want to share?
Well, let's see. Here's what he said.
I saw that on Twitter. I felt like that was the vibe I got from it on Twitter. So
Howie was asked by Ruben Frank about like the philosophy of drafting running backs and linebackers in the first round. Howie said, I think the most important thing when you're picking in the first round, certainly when you're picking 10, is that you get a unique player. I think there are so few unique players in any draft that if you start picking by position and not based on the quality of the talent, then you really get a chance. So if you pick by position and you pick a player who's not any good, then it's not going to be a good pick anyway. I think the most important thing for us here is that we utilize this opportunity to get a unique player for our team. Certainly not planning to be picking at this point in the near future. Obviously, things happen, but we're not planning for that. So we understand how important it is to get this right. And how you get it right is you make sure you get a unique player. So listen, I think that keeping in mind, the thing that Howie also said about he's not going to say anything true in this press conference, right? I think that Howie has a joke with himself every year about like how many people can I get to believe that I might draft a running back in the first round this year, and like watch me do it over and over and over again.
High in the first round, because I think 30 is a different conversation.
I think it's a different story, yes, but I think it's like a little fun game for him to play with himself. Like there's the Hallie Grossman ESPN story on Bijan Robinson that dropped today, and it leads with an anecdote of like Howie and Bijan in their official pre-draft meeting. I don't think it's going to happen. Now, what he's saying is true, right? Like you're not going to take a player who you have graded as a worse player because of the position. But I think they're factoring everything into account. I also think that at 10, they're not going to be in a scenario where there is nobody who they view as an impact player, a unique player at a position of value. I don't think that's going to happen. But if it does happen, then the calculation changes, and you probably think to yourself, if you're Howie Roseman, now is a chance for us to trade down if there are offers available, at least, right? I don't think it's very hard for me to believe that there's any scenario in which they sit at 10 and draft Bijan Robinson. Unique as he is, impactful as he is, I don't think they would ever view that position at that spot as meriting the pick. Now, let's say, it goes off the board where the corners are off the board, the offensive linemen they like are off the board, and the defensive linemen they like are off the board, and they move down to 18 or something like that, and Bijan Robinson is still on the board, and they don't love anybody else. I don't think that that's crazy, but at 10, I cannot see it.
Yeah, so I agree with you there. I don't see it at 10. You could talk me into it in a trade down situation, but a few things here. I know I butter Bo up on this show, but I do believe when I say this with 100% conviction and honesty here. Outside of Dane Brugler's The Beast, the best draft content in the past week and a half, from where I sit, has been Bo's draft analysis, basically the historical analysis. And I'd recommend everyone go back and read it. And one thing that should affirm is that get high-level players at premium positions. Where are they coming from? They're coming from high in the draft. Like the chart that Bo had with those high-level players, it was skewed toward premium positions at the top, right? So if you want to get an impact offensive lineman or an impact defensive lineman, either edge rusher or defensive tackle, you have a much harder chance of doing it outside of the top 15 in the draft than now. It's possible, and it's possible to miss. I get all that, but your chance of landing those players is in the top half of the draft. Howie Roseman said today, what we've been saying on the show, they're not expecting the draft this high for a long time here, right? They could have a bad season at some point, who knows? But they I don't want to say lucked into a top 10 pick here, but they didn't earn a top 10 pick. They made a trade. The trade worked out swimmingly for them. They have a top 10 pick. From where I sit, they're going to use this pick to try to get a unique player at a premium position. The same way we've said it before. Their next Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham or Lane Johnson, right? The guys who've lasted long here, core players, top half of the draft players at premium positions who are with the team a decade later. I'm not saying they're going to land a 10-year player. Those are rare in the league. But their goal here is not to find the player who improves the championship odds next year. It's the player who's going to be a core player at a premium position for a long time, and that is not running back.
I think that's right. I do think maybe this is just overreading one word that they use, but like the word unique in terms of like parsing out who they might prefer. I have been on the fence on who I think is their fallback plan at 10 between Lucas Van Ness and Nolan Smith, who I think would be like if Paris Johnson and Christian Gonzalez are off the board and they can't move up for Will Anderson or Jalen Carter and they have to stick and pick, my guess is it would be one of those two guys. And I was sort of leaning Van Ness because I think the fit is cleaner, but in like the unique framing, Nolan Smith is like a more unique athletic profile. I don't know. Just a thing is bouncing around my mind.
Yeah, I could see that. I've been thinking a lot recently about the draft 10 years ago. Okay. And the first round there where it went Eric Fisher, Luke Jokel, Deion Jordan, then Lane Johnson. So 3 offensive tackles went at the top, and Lane Johnson turned out clearly to be the best of the 3. And going into that draft, Lane was the least polished of the 3, right? Luke Jokel was the best college player of those 3. Eric Fisher was kind of a combination, had size, had experience, right? But Lane had traits that were off the charts. And Lane turned into one of the best offensive tackles in recent NFL history. So I'm not saying that's always the case, but I think what the Eagles are going to look for at that spot are traits that are really hard to find, and then they're going to have time to coach this guy up.
Yeah, I think that's
also because, and Howie said this, their roster is good enough to compete right now. So they have the luxury of drafting someone, whether it's Paris Johnson at offensive tackle, who visited this week, according to Mike Garafolo, okay, or like a Lucas Van Ness or a Nolan Smith, someone who they have time to develop, right? Who might not be the player now that he's going to be 3 years from now, but the scenario that I think that worry or where teams make a mistake early in the draft is when the guy they pick is not going to be much better 3 years from now than he is now. Like he's maxed out. Mm-hmm. And it's no knock on those players, but there are some guys, and you used to hear this at times, by the way, about Alabama guys. Like they were so well coached that like there wasn't another gear for them. And I'm not saying that's the case with Alabama guys, but point being that what you're looking for is who has the chance to be the best player in this draft or from this draft 3 years from now.
Okay, well, we've got some fun, reasons to talk a little bit more about what we expect the Eagles to do coming up after the break. But before we get to that, Zach, anything else from the press conference today that you think is worth bouncing around? I thought that, the answer about Jalen Carter was sort of a non-answer. Yeah. So no need to spend time on that. I think that all comes, Howie Roseman shouted out Dom DeSandro as like the guy who's going to give them clearance there or not. We'll find out whether or not they have that.
Howie and Bo are both ageists. We confirmed that.
Yeah, I don't know that he came down all the way on that side, but he talked about it intelligently.
Yeah. So he made a passing remark how many old guys were in this draft, which stands to reason because of COVID. There's players had 60 years because of lacks of transfer rules that have laxed. Players are staying longer or developing later in their careers, getting more opportunities as seniors than maybe they would have 5 years ago. And I put the numbers into a spreadsheet thanks to Dane, copying, pasting all the players Dane has profiles on. So not the rest. He has the chart at the beginning of each position,
right?
Where he has the. Wow. Yeah, I took all of them. I didn't do the other players because those players don't have ages.
Right.
Right.
None of them have ever been born. They're all
well, no, they don't have listed ages, but all the other ones. So like the 400 and whatever. The average age of players featured by Dane this year is 23.018. The median age is 23.06. Average age of players Dane featured in 2019, which I picked out because it was a pre-COVID year, was 22.57. The median age was 22.59. So they're about a half a year older on average, and the median age than they were in the draft in 2019.
Interesting.
And so Howie said, by the way, I should give Howie's quote here. He said this is definitely something they consider. He said you learn from your experience, and it was a veiled reference to Danny Watkins. Yeah. That they learned from the Danny Watkins experience. He focused more on college performance, right? Not on the predicted age curve in the NFL. His take was that if you're a 23-year-old competing against an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old, then you're, 20% stronger than the 18, 19-year-old. Like you're farther along. You should be almost superior in that competition. So that's one thing to consider. And then the age curve in the pros is also something to consider. And I don't want to speak for you, Bo. This is what you usually, I guess, talk about, which is say you're looking at defensive ends or edge rushers rather in this draft. Keon White is 24. BJ Ojolari is 21. Like BJ Ojolari, and he just turned 21 in April. Will BJ Ojolari be the player at 24 that Keon White is now? Like that's, and when that player hits free agency, he's 25, 26 as opposed to 28, 29. So,
yeah, I actually care much less about the when they hit their second contract than the contextualizing of the college performance.
Interesting.
Equal performances at 23 and 21 are, the 21-year-old performance is much more impressive. And also when do they break out? Right. It's if it's like a fifth-year senior who finally gets his big year, it's a little bit less impressive. It's all about. All of these bets are low percentage bets. You're just trying to increase the odds wherever you can. And I think, history has borne out that is the truth. That just look at the numbers of the ages of the elite players when they come in.
Yeah. I also thought Howie made an interesting point about the the lack of contributions from the rookie class last year.
I think this is a good answer from him.
Where he said that they can't realistically expect their team to be as healthy next year as it was this past year.
Right. He said it would be at the very best naive and worse than that. Right.
Yeah. So they are going to need, if they draft someone who's a backup, they might, they're going to need that guy to contribute. Think of Landon Dickerson in 2021. Wasn't drafted at the start, but was the starter in week 2, right? So that is something to think about here, that that depth chart could change pretty quickly, because last year was an atypical year as far as the team's health.
And then the last thing that he talked about that I think is maybe worth noting is I thought he gave a good answer on the philosophy of potentially trading future draft picks.
Yeah, I thought so.
For current picks this year, that it's less about we want a 5th round pick, and so let's send a future 4th or whatever it is, and more about the actual grades of the players. Like if there's a player on their board still available in the 5th round who they have a high 4th round grade on, then they're comfortable sending a future 4th round pick, because it's about the grade of the player. And that sounds sort of intuitive and obvious, but I think it's good that that's the way that they're thinking, right? That it's not about we need pick volume, and it's about let's wait and see when value matches what we think it is.
Agreed. So as if you want to take an example, last year, say they did not have a 3rd round pick, and Nakobe Dean had a clear 2nd round grade for them, or I don't know if he had a 1st round grade, but they were considering him at the Cam Jurgens pick. They said it was down, if you believe it was down to Jurgens or Dean, and they went with the offensive lineman, then that would be a situation where they would rationally trade your 2nd rounder the next year, because the value on the board matches the pick that you're giving up.
Okay. Zach, have you gone through the Turkeys to the Kingdom prompts?
Not at all, but I think that's what's going to make it. Yeah, I'm going to do it.
You're going to do it live.
Going to do it live.
Okay, I'll decide during the break on the 2 that we're adding, and otherwise you have the other ones in front of you. So we'll take a little bit of
wait, can I mention something real quick today?
Please do.
Shout out to the Wulf family.
Yes.
Because UConn hockey getting a shout out from Nick Sirianni. Nick
thought that I was
was a front runner.
He thought that I was pulling a pimp move, that he thought that I went to UConn and I was wearing a UConn polo because I was trying to brag about having won the national championship game, and he was speculating about that on the stage.
Oh, I thought he just thought you were just you just got the shirt of the national championship team.
No, I think he was thinking that I was bragging because I went there or something like that.
Okay,
He was
gotcha.
look at this move that this guy's pulling. And so no, I said no, it's my sister's a hockey coach. That's on the hockey team.
So shout out to UConn hockey there.
Yes, there you go. All right, let's take a little break. Come back. Turkeys to the draft kingdom. Bo versus Zach, just as it should be. Now that spring is finally here, the days are longer, the tennis matches are outside, the flowers are blooming, and you can spend some time on your yard. What makes the season even better is Sunday Lawn Care. Sunday is everything you need to get the lawn you've dreamed of. This spring, go to getsunday.com/birds and enter your address to get a customized plan created just for your lawn. No trips to the store or hauling heavy bags, since they ship straight to your home. All you need is a hose to apply Sunday. You can fertilize your whole lawn in less time than it takes to watch an episode of your favorite TV show. That's because your favorite TV show is YouTube episodes of Birds with Friends, and they usually last about 2.5 hours. The other good thing about Sunday, well, they only use ingredients you can feel good about. No harsh chemicals, no long waiting periods, or trying to keep your kids and pets off the lawn. Simply apply, let it dry, and you're back to enjoying your yard. How about let's make that 3rd rhyme there next time? Simply apply, let it dry, be a guy. Eagle eye in the sky. How about that? Sunday is easy and affordable. Some lawn care services cost more than $1,500 a year, but Sunday's full season plans start at just $109. And even better news, Sunday is offering our listeners 20% off. Full season plans start at just $109, and you can get 20% off when you visit getsunday.com/birds at checkout. That's 20% off your custom plan at getsunday.com/birds. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Whether or not you feel like you need therapy, sometimes it's just good to have somebody to talk to. And that's where BetterHelp comes in. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. And believe me, otherwise, like finding a therapist in your area is a very difficult thing to do. BetterHelp makes the whole thing very easy. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/BWF today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/BWF. All right. Welcome back to Birds with Friends. Bo, Zach, and Marissa. Marissa, I'm sorry. We haven't even spoken to you.
No, that was an excellent conversation. I loved how fired up Zach was about the Patricia stuff. Interesting to hear what Howie and Nick had to say about the draft. It was great. I was loving it.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Has Michael ever played for a coach he hates?
I think he has. I won't name the coach. It is no one in Cleveland.
Okay.
Years ago. No, years ago. And I don't think this coach coaches in the NFL anymore.
I wonder, but that's got to, how much does that affect you? I mean, especially as a guy who's trying to make a living,
It definitely affected him. And I know it affected a lot of his teammates even more. I heard Michael say stuff about this coach, but teammates said even worse things. So yes, no one in Cleveland, someone years and years ago, but yeah, it's definitely not pleasant. And it's not like someone's hard. Obviously coaches are hard, but there's a difference between someone inspiring you and motivating you and still being hard, and then someone just being an A blank.
Right. Just to be one. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I know who he might be talking about.
Well, we could discuss post-pod.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's a Michael consensus. I think it's
a
lot of
Yes.
people have had this experience. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How are we feeling otherwise?
Good. Feeling good.
Right.
Yeah, I have my family baby shower this weekend with my sister.
Oh, nice.
So that will be nice. So yeah, just hanging in there.
I hope you bring lots of towels.
Why?
Since it's a shower.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say because you know me, I and my towel usage.
Exactly, and you one towel per shower.
Exactly. So,
Zach, have you done you guys done potty training with Sloan yet?
A while ago, yeah.
Okay, because how much older than Jane is she? What is she?
Sloan is 4. She'll turn 5 in January.
Oh, she's 4. Yeah. She's way older.
Yeah, she's way older.
For some reason, I thought it was a little bit closer than that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're doing Jane this weekend.
How's that going?
We're starting
tomorrow. Big day.
Keeping her home tomorrow.
Have you been prepping it?
I mean, generally speaking, she's interested.
Yeah.
But
I want all the
notes. She lives hard, man. I don't know. It's good.
You need to tell me what works, what doesn't work.
It was very easy with Casey, but we'll see. Nothing is easier with Jane. All right, Zach. Turkeys to the Draft Kingdom. This is, many people would say the least prestigious of the 3 major pre-draft games. I am the defending champion, but no big shakes there. I think it goes Duck Juice at the top. The Owl draft, which we'll do next Tuesday. That goes number 2. And then Turkeys to the Draft Kingdom. Now, last year we also did a pre-draft swooper. Maybe we can talk about doing that as well.
Okay.
On Tuesday. We got to get as many games in as possible. But this is the game wherein we have a bunch of different prompts. And you and I will wager our turkeys on what we think the likeliest outcomes are. There are 10 questions, 100 turkeys per question. That means 1,000 turkeys, 2,000 between the two of us are about to be doled out. Are you ready?
Out of curiosity, can I carry any turkeys over to next year? Will they collect interest? Can I use them? Okay.
These are use them or lose them.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
To make it fair, we'll alternate who reads their turkeys first.
You don't have to. I'm not looking for competitive advantage here in this game, so I don't mind.
Sorry, that doesn't matter. The rules are. I mean, we're still playing a fair way.
Yeah. Okay.
Whether or not you think you want to win.
Okay.
I mean, we're trying to be fair here. All right. The first question. The Eagles' very first pick of draft weekend will be either higher than number 10, meaning before number 10, lower than number 10 technically. It will be exactly number 10, or it will be after number 10. I will go first. I have 40 turkeys on a trade up higher than number 10. I have 51 turkeys on exactly number 10, and I have 9 turkeys on a trade down from number 10. Gotta stay true to my Howie Roseman beliefs.
I have 40, 20, 40. So I don't think they're going to be drafting at number 10. I think this will either be a trade up or a trade down.
Okay, but you don't have that many turkeys on lower. On a trade down, you've only got 20 turkeys on it.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry.
You mean 40, 40, 20?
Yes. Sorry, 40, 40, 20. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry,
interesting.
So 20 that they stay the same, just to clarify.
You only have 20 turkeys on staying at number 10.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
All right. I think staying at 10 is I don't think that's that crazy.
Oh, I don't think it's that crazy either.
Okay. Wow, you both have 40 on a trade up. That's disappointing. That's all right. All right. Next up, we have their second pick. Their second pick, number 30. Will they be drafting? Will it be a trade up? Will it be a trade down? Or will they stay and pick at number 30? Your turn to go first.
Okay, so I need to reverse the way I wrote this here. 10 for trading up, 70 for trading down, 20 for staying at 30.
Man, I was hoping I was going to have an advantage here because I went high on trading down, but you still trumped me. I have 0 on trading up, 0.
Wow.
65 on trading down and 35 on picking at 30. I think they would. Now, obviously what they do at 10 affects things here. Yeah. If they did trade down from 10, then I think they probably do stick at 30. There is that nice advantage of the extra 50-year option. You can maybe, if you're taking an upside swing, but I think that I feel very confident that they would like to trade down from 30.
I agree with that. The thing that I considered here was, like you said, if they trade down from 10, okay, and they draft a guy at like 15 or let's say they have extra picks here. Maybe they're at 30 and someone's there at 25 who they were considering at 15.
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. Yeah.
They're like, you know what? Let's move up 5 spots. We get 2 of these guys we were thinking about. Maybe that's this guy Kalia Cansey or something like that won't be there at 30. So something to think about. Although I did Sam Farmer's mock draft flex where you each, and I was the picker at 30 and Cansey was on the board. That's what I took.
I don't know.
He's a very all over the board kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I don't see it with Cansey. He didn't impress me. And aside from the tiny arms, that's a tough bet. I don't know.
Okay. He can get to the quarterback from the interior, and that's
maybe. He could in college. We don't know that he can do that. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. You love your time.
I was disappointed because I felt like I was going to be in on him. I love the idea of a short, squatty guy, but the arms are
that's a drop right there.
Really, really short, historically so. And I wasn't impressed with what I watched. I don't know.
He didn't have any top 30 visits either, right?
I saw that. That really surprised me.
Yeah, people are saying Nick Baumgartner was on our Jets podcast this afternoon, and he was saying that he doesn't know if that's like teams just being like, coy and not knowing where other
Right.
teams have him. But he did not take any top 30 visits.
That's interesting.
Now it's interesting to me, Bo, that you're so down on Kancey, but you're high on Tommy Adebawore. And I understand the arm length is different, but Kancey has like a demonstrated ability to get to the quarterback, whereas Adebawore is more of a projection in that area.
Yeah, but he's a better athlete. The measurables are better.
Well,
Kancey's
Kancey's a really good athlete too, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I see in the chat here, 6'2", 281. It doesn't get it done on early downs. I agree. I'm not drafting Kancey to be your first down run stopper. I'm drafting Kancey to affect the quarterback on passing downs, right? I mean, that's a premium role for me.
All right, Zach. Over the course of draft weekend, will the Eagles have 6 draft picks as they currently are scheduled to do? Will they have fewer than 6 picks, or will they have more than 6 picks? It's my turn to go first.
Yep.
I have 53 turkeys on more than 6 picks, 40 turkeys on exactly 6, and 7 on fewer than 6.
I have 5, 15, and 80.
80 on more than 6?
Yes,
Or on
80
exactly
on more than
6?
6.
15 on exactly. Oh, interesting. Wow,
Yeah.
you're going big. You got a shot for some big swings here, Zach.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Wait.
Why is this so difficult?
Because I tried doing it during the break when I was listening to your ad here.
Well, you probably shouldn't have been listening to the ad. You've heard it
played 3 times this
before.
week.
No, exactly. No, it's on this. Exactly 6 is 80. Yeah. I was looking
Oh, you have 80 on exactly 6.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
5,
He thought
15,
you had
80.
that on more than 6.
Oh, wow.
No. The way I read it here is fewer than 6, more than 6, exactly 6. Right? So 5 on fewer than 6, 15 on more than 6, 80 on exactly 6.
Wow. Okay. Wow, you're going big on the status quo. All right.
Well, I can see them trading back and trading up, right? I mean, all you're talking about is the net, not the so
Yeah, but if you're so confident they're going to trade down from 30 that you went 70 turkeys on it, don't you think they're going to be accumulating picks? Don't you think they're then going to your turkeys
picks,
don't agree with each other?
You can use those picks to move up.
They're not communicating.
Number two, I'm not
Gobble,
convinced.
gobble.
I'm not convinced that they use 2 7th round picks, right? Because like from their perspective, 7th rounders
What else
are
are they
not
gonna
that
do?
much.
Flush them down the toilet?
No, they could. I mean, they would love to trade a 7th this year for a 6th next year, right? I mean, they had 4
They're gonna have
undrafted
so many
guys.
6 next year.
They had 4 undrafted guys make the team. I mean, they could do what I do in Madden and just like keep trading back until one like 7th round pick turns into the like a 3rd round pick 5 years later. You just keep trading the rounds one year later.
Yeah, maybe that's what they'll do. Once again, the correct formula for general managing an NFL team has been laid by the way that Zach does an imaginary game. First, they need to follow his rotisserie baseball auction strategy. Now they need to follow his Madden strategy.
Former Madden strategy, by the way. I don't know what the database says right now, but former Madden strategy. Yes.
All right, Zach. Will the Eagles make a trade between today, right now, and the Saturday of draft weekend that involves a veteran either coming or going? Yes or no?
How do you classify veteran? Do they have to have 3 years?
No, anyone who has played, who has been, anyone who's not a draft pick.
Okay.
So I'm going to game theory this year, and I'm just going to take one side that I know I'll get a side here. I'm going to go 50-50. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
I went 54 no, 46 yes, because I'm a little bit unmoved on this one too.
Exactly. So
usually there are more irons in the fire on this one. If they're going to trade somebody from the current roster, Quez Watkins is the guy who makes the most sense. They went out of their way to gas him up today. It would save a little bit of money cap wise, and let's say they draft a wide receiver in the 3rd round, you could send Quez away for a 6th round pick or something like that. In terms of like acquiring a veteran, I guess safety or linebacker are probably the 2 positions you would look at, but I don't know that I see that happening.
By the way, I did not mention this in the news update, but the Eagles with a signing yesterday.
That's right. Yes. Olamide
Zacchaeus, who is a South Jersey native, went to St. Joe's Prep, was on St. Joe's Prep team, I believe, with DeAndre Swift, John Runyon Jr., and played what? He actually
odds must have been off the board that you were going to nail that.
He played against loyal Birds with Friends listener
Matt Ryan,
Casey Young, who went to based on a DM, and Casey, I'll respond to you, but I did see this.
Oh wow, you're reading his DM aloud, but you haven't even deigned him worthy of a response yet.
Went to Neshaminy, played the state semis against them, and and really stood up for his teammate DeAndre Pollard, who went to Villanova.
Is a local guy who's got Zach in his last name. How could he be more your guy?
And he's short too, right? I mean, I'm all in on Zacchaeus. Am I pronouncing it correctly, Zacchaeus?
I don't know.
I need a Dane pronunciation guide for this one. Yeah.
Olamide Zacchaeus. Oh, Zacchaeus. Oh, Zacchaeus. Oh, Zacchaeus.
And another thing, by the way, you know where he went to college?
To get more knowledge?
No, where? Not why. Where? A place I used to cover.
Virginia Tech.
Went to Virginia. Yep. He's, I believe, the all-time leading receiver of Virginia. If memory serves, he broke Billy McMullen's record.
Billy Mack. Nice. Another classic Eagle. All right, Zach. Will the Eagles draft a quarterback? Yes or no? My turn to go first. I have 78 on no, 22 on yes.
I have 10 on no. I have 90. I'm sorry. I have 90 on no, 10 on yes.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to.
I think they're going to need some extra volume to make that happen. But
you're not buying Ian Book, man. They kept on the roster last year for a reason.
For the paperback.
Very. That is such a dad joke if I've ever heard one. that in the towel line. Yeah. They kept him on the roster last year for a reason. I think they like him.
Yeah, but I mean, Mariota's on a 1-year deal. It's not. They still believe the same things they believed when they tried to draft Jalen Hurts, right? They're going to want a cost-controlled backup quarterback.
That's true.
It's not a crazy shot to take. All right, Zach. Will the Eagles draft a specialist, a long snapper, a kicker, or a punter? Yes or no?
I am going 90 for no, 10 for yes. But credit to Dane Brugler, we did not ask him this in ZB and the Wolf, but had a punter going in round 7 to the Eagles.
That's right. I have 98 on no.
Okay.
2 on yes.
So you trump me on this one.
All right. This is an interesting one now.
Wait, real quick. Is the scoring done based on the accumulation of turkeys or in the categories?
What do you mean?
So if
it's not whoever wins the most individual categories, it's whoever amasses the highest number of total turkeys.
That's what I meant. Okay. So it's not done by category. It's not
right. So if there's one big blowout answer, that's a huge
So it's your aggregate score. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So when I made that 50-50 reference, you probably had no idea what I was talking about.
I mean, I think I understood what you were saying. I just didn't.
But it made no point.
It's a 4-point swing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Big one here.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles' very first pick, whatever it is. There are 4 categories we have here: defensive line, cornerback, offensive line, offensive line, and other. I think it's my turn to go first.
Okay.
I have it 51 turkeys on defensive line.
And that includes edge.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the record, Nolan Smith is considered defensive line, even though he's a linebacker. He's considered defensive line for this purpose. Okay.
51 defensive line, 38 offensive line, 10 on corner, and 1 on other.
Okay. I am going with 45 on D line, 30 on O line, 15. So I did 45 and 30. So that brings me up to 75.
You're doing
So
it live?
Yeah. I only got through 4 during the commercial break.
He's listening to your.
You just clearly cheat. This is
No,
outrageous.
15 on corner, and then the remainder
And
on other.
other?
So that's 10. Yep.
Okay. If they made an
Actually,
other
no.
pick, go ahead.
I'm going to go 20 on corner and 5 on other.
You can't just cheat now. That's cheating.
All right, then give me 15. I really don't care. But...
You got to stay with 15 and 10.
All right, fine.
Touch move.
Fine. I got to tell you, things are going to keep me up at night. This will not be one of them. So,
If they made an other pick,
yeah.
water gun to your toe, who would it be? Would it be Bijan?
In a trade down situation, yes. Or, yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I think he's the most likely other. You can make a case. I don't think, maybe if they trade way down, Brian Branch, I don't think they're taking Drew Sanders or Jack Campbell that high. I don't think they're taking a wide receiver. You could really, if you want to be crazy, try to sell me on like Michael Mayer or something like that. But that seems like a tough sell.
Yeah, the other was not a good bet for me. I'm fine with that. I should have done this ahead of time. I was writing a story, which will be online at some point tonight.
Okay. I was also writing a story. We co-wrote it together. I found the time.
Okay.
I sent the categories out, this afternoon, to be fair.
What time did you send them out?
They were sent out pretty early. I will give them that.
On Slack, you mean?
Yeah.
1:50 p.m.
All right. The press conference, from the press conference on, I haven't done anything except think
Fail
about
to prepare to fail.
I did think about what I was going to say on the show, but I didn't think about this game.
Okay. Well, hopefully you lose because of that. So we have a ball don't lie situation.
That's fine. Fair enough.
All right, Zach. Second pick. The Eagles' second pick. Same categories: defensive line, cornerback, offensive line, and other. I'll let you go first this time.
30, 30, 30, 10.
Wow.
What?
As Bo shakes
act
his
like you
head.
want to be here.
What? Bo, I don't know.
30, 30, 30, 10. I'm sorry. Are we bothering you?
You're mad because I didn't do 32, 28, like 12.
Listen, just because I said this is the least prestigious of the games doesn't mean you have to treat it like a piece of garbage.
How is that?
You're
treating
still
it
trying to
a piece of
win.
garbage? I'm diversifying my turkeys here. Okay.
What's your 10? Other?
Yes. I think there's because it's dynamic. Bo and I are doing this exercise right now. It comes out Monday. I hope you read our piece that came out this week where we ranked 15 options at number 10, or with the Eagles' first pick, we should say. And now we're ranking 15 options with the Eagles' second pick. And the challenge is it's dynamic in that if they take an edge rusher with that first pick, they're not going to take an edge rusher with the second pick, right? So that's the hard part here. So I like the corners. I really like Emmanuel Forbes. I know Bo doesn't. Bo's not into ball skills at all. He just.
Have you watched his interceptions, Zach?
I have, Bo. Yes.
He has 6 interceptions. He makes 1 good play. The other ones are literally guys dropping the ball and handing them to him, or he gets dusted and it's a terrible throw.
First off,
I am so unimpressed with him.
You're talking about his pick sixes. I believe he has 14 interceptions.
I am so unimpressed with his interceptions.
So let's not undersell him. And by the way, in order to get just his pick sixes, I think you need to add up like all the interceptions from the 3 cornerbacks the other day combined.
No, it's not
Okay.
just the pick sixes. I'm not
Okay.
talking about just the pick sixes.
Well, you said 6, and he had
Maybe that was from this year.
He had 14, I believe, in college. 14 interceptions in college, I believe. Ball skills.
I think he's like bad.
Okay, the knock on him is that he's 160 something pounds. That was the knock on Devontae Smith too, right? He knows how to play the position. He has good instincts. He has good coverage ability. I would take him.
Oof.
Look, we can do.
I have my worst case scenario mock draft coming out tomorrow. He's the pick at 30.
Okay. So I like Forbes. I think Ringo has a lot of upside. Banks has a lot of tools. I mean, there's some other guys, Cam Smith's in that area, but I think there's some interesting corners. The edge rushers there could be interesting. Ojulari, I like Ojulari.
I like Ojulari too.
Not that big on Keon White.
Will McDonald is one for me where he's similar to me to the way that I thought of Brandon Ayuk when we were like all the way focused on those wide receivers that year, because the profile I don't like at all. Obviously he's 24. He's an older player, but I watch him and I really like him. I really like the way that he moves. And I think he's an interesting player to bet on. Obviously they've got that Iowa State connection, so they're going to have a little insight into him. He's a tough one for me because my eyes and my brain are not on the same page.
I thought he was used kind of odd at Iowa State. I think he's going to be a better player in the NFL than he was at Iowa State. To me, he's so good around the edge, and there were times when he was in different gaps, and I'm like, just get this guy on the edge. Am I wrong?
You know who I liked when I watched was Felix Anadike. Oh, I forget the exact.
From Kansas State. Sorry, Marissa. Marissa says when I write down, what are you hearing? Is it shaking my mic?
It was a little bit, but
I apologize.
Just tried to do it without even bringing it up on the show, Zach. But
no, you're such a good producer. I want to give you credit. Yeah,
no, you don't have to do that.
I like him. I like the way he moves.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit different than you on these ones. Well, first of all, because I didn't just give it no thought at all and go 30, 30, 30, 10. I have 41 defensive line, 35 cornerback. I only have 8 on offensive line, and then I have 16 on other. I don't think that offensive line matches up for them at the back of the first round, just in terms of where the value is and what they're going to like. I think at the top it makes sense because this is your chance to get a pillar player. And I don't think that I see that necessarily at 30. I mean, are they going to love Darnell Wright if he's there? Maybe. Is that a spot? Is there a spot for Anton Harrison or, DeJuan Jones if you want to take a bet? I don't think it is for them. I think they have I think if they don't take the guy we think he's going to be like the next Lane Johnson, then I think they're more looking for depth on, late day 2, early day 3. And so I don't see it there. And I do think that's a spot where they could take a running back or a linebacker or a safety. So I've got a little bit more there.
My concern,
I agree with you though. The corner is maybe a sweet spot there.
My concern with offensive tackle is that I think there's a drop off, right? I think Jones has just such intriguing size. It kind of reminds you of Orlando Brown a few years ago, I think with a little better feet. I've heard, last year Daniel Faalele dropped to the 4th round. I think Jones is better. I mean, there are games when Jones is just awesome. He was a high school, as you can see in the Beast, he was a high school prospect. I've read credit to Tyler Dunn's site, Go Long. He has the Bob McGinn scouting reports, and the scouting reports for DeJuan Jones were all over the place. But
it does feel like the kind of guy who Stout would,
Yeah, it's just you can't teach. You just can't teach that size. But the thing is, so Howie Roseman had a quote on Jason Kelsey's podcast where he talked about traits compared to technique. But the other thing that he said there is like the right mentality, right? And so you need to gamble on the right mentality. Jordan Mailata was blessed with 6'8", 360 pounds and can move. But the other thing is Jordan was so determined to get better and took coaching really well. And Jeff Stoutland's going to coach you hard. So that's a critical factor. But I mean, DeJuan Jones is like 21 years old, special size, right? If you think he has quick feet, you can develop him for 2 years, and he's your starting right tackle in 2 years for Lane Johnson.
The problem I have with DeJuan Jones for the Eagles is he's just a tackle, right? I mean, he's too big to play guard.
Yeah.
He's 6'8", and he's like this enormous guy. Whereas I think that's like, I really think that's part of why Paris Johnson is like the perfect fit, because he can back up 4 positions right away. Probably. He can easily slide into a starting spot at guard until Lane Johnson is there, and then he can be ready to take over for Lane Johnson. It's just such an ideal fit for filling the holes that they have. Whereas it's not the same with DeJuan Jones. And I think like the thing that Howie Roseman said today about the health, I mean, I think the offensive line is I think the 2 places to think about that are cornerback and offensive line. You've got 2 guys over 30 at cornerback. They're going to need bodies there. And an offensive line, like, yeah, they've got a penciled in starting 5 right now, but of their top 8 from last year, they lost 2 guys. They lost Isaac Seumalo and they lost Andre Dillard. They have real, like, and Howie Roseman has talked before about like offensive line injuries have sunk us in the past. I think he is very aware of needing another good player on the offensive line.
And why are you not sold on Anton Harrison?
I'm not out on Anton Harrison necessarily. I think the profile's fine. I'd probably have to do a little bit more digging on him, but I don't know that. I don't know. He's just. I would think he would make a little bit more sense than DeJuan Jones at the back of the first round for what he can do. But and how do you feel about Skoronski, Zach?
How do I feel about him? I mean, I think he's a really good player, and I just wonder if
I can't get there at
like
10.
This is if he's a Pro Bowl guard and that's what he's great, but he's not, he's not like an all-world tackle. And I keep going back to your articles from last year. Oh, I'm sorry, from last week. If you want to get a top tackle, or you want to get a top defensive tackle, or you want to get a top edge rusher, it's hard to find them outside the top half of the draft. You can find good guards elsewhere.
He's a tackle, but it hasn't been done with those arms. Yeah. And I also think, and this is unfair, like typecasting because he's a white guy from Northwestern, but you talk about like the Stoutland thing of getting the most out of the guy. He does seem like a guy who is a little bit maxed out already. Like, I don't know how much better he's going to get. And maybe that's unfair. Everybody talks about the Zach Martin comp, and that's obviously if you could take Zach Martin in 10, you probably would. But it's the Northwestern if he's not an all-pro guard, then it's not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, Slater came out of Northwestern a few years ago.
Right. Shorter arms, although they were longer than Skoronski's.
Yeah. I think the Zach Martin thing, I think that's fair. That's not like comparing white guy to white guy. It's just someone who's going to have to probably move inside in the NFL. And if you're okay getting like a Pro Bowl guard at number 10, I don't think Skoronski's gonna be a bad player. Like I think he's gonna be just a really good player, and he could be a Pro Bowl guard at 10. I would just rather a tackle or an edge rusher or a defensive tackle there.
Yeah, I just think like it's Howie Roseman said the thing today about how if you're focused on position, but you take a bad player at an important position, that's not a good pick. But if the pick is not worth it unless the guy hits his like 90th percentile outcome, like he's an all-pro guard, or unless Bijan Robinson is one of the 3 best running backs in the league every year for the next 4 years, I don't want to take that bet because there's so much more variance to what could actually happen. Whereas if Paris Johnson is only like an average starting tackle, that's still a good pick. That's still fine at 10, right? Like if Nolan Smith is never more than a third edge rusher, but he gets you 6.5 sacks a year and he plays all 5 years and he's a part of the rotation, that's not a great pick, but it's still like that downside is much better than the downside of, oh, you just got an okay guard. That's not the best use of resources, I don't think.
I can't speak for Howie Roseman, but I think Howie Roseman is hyper focused on succession plans for his top guys. Like for these, now it doesn't have to be this year, right? If Lane Johnson plays 2 more years, like he says, then you have next year's draft and you have potentially the draft after that. But as we've talked about time and time again, you don't know when you're going to get this type of opportunity. So if you think Paris Johnson can be a starting, like a top level starting tackle in the league, and he's on the board at 10, then I just think Howie Roseman.
I think the way you're framing that, I like that.
Yeah, like
he's built the team with Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson and Fletcher Cox. He wants to find
Brandon Graham. Yep,
and Brandon Graham, and he thinks he has his Kelsey. He might be looking for his Lane. You know, Jordan Davis is a different player, obviously, than Fletcher Cox, but that's part of the reason they took him. I think that's a good framing. Yeah. I like that.
I really think he's thinking in those terms, right? Like these succession plans are very important. That was the Cam Jurgens pick, right? To an extent, that was the Jordan Davis pick, right? Like I like that they're framing. Thinking these. So I keep thinking about tackle. Now I see this in the chat. I think Chicago's taking a tackle, but as we've discussed, there are potentially either 2 or potentially 3 tackles. If you look at Skoronski, depending, but Paris Johnson and Broderick Jones are like true offensive tackles. So 2 players to watch for sure.
All right, so we got 4 left here. Will the Eagles trade away a 2024 pick over the course of draft weekend? It's my turn to go first. I have 95 on yes and 5 on no.
Okay. You with those round numbers, right? Can you put a little more thought into this, Bo? Like, are you take this game a little more seriously? I got 61 yes, 39 no.
Okay. I really think they're going to. I think it just makes sense. I mean, they don't want
12 picks next year.
12 picks next year, right? Like,
but I do think they want some ammo to potentially do some training camp trades.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? Like I think that they've seen in the past that you can get value in August for a guy who's falling out of favor somewhere, and I think they're going to want some picks to deal. Now they have a stack cupboard. They have 12 picks, right? 12 picks. You don't want 12 picks. You don't have 12 spots on your roster. But I could see them trading from 2024. Yeah. So I probably should be higher.
Next up, over the course of draft weekend, they will make more picks on which side of the ball: offense, defense, or push.
Sorry. 40-40-10. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Let's go 35 offense, 45 defense, 10 push.
Oh, interesting. 35 offense, 45. That doesn't add up. It'd be 20 then. You want 20 on push?
Yeah, 20 on push. Sorry about that.
Okay. I have 15 on offense, 51 on defense, and 34 on push. So you're rooting for offense. That's not crazy. I mean, but I don't know. Not much else to add there. 2 left, Zach. Will the Eagles draft a pair of teammates? Yes or no? Obviously, 2 years ago, Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson. Last year, Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. Will the Eagles draft a pair of teammates? I say 40 yes, 60 no.
I'll go 35 yes and 65 no. If they draft a pair of teammates, call your shot.
I like this game. I was actually thinking about this. I think the most likely teammates for them to draft are Nolan Smith and Keely Ringo.
I'm going Jalen Carter, Darnell, Washington.
Oh, interesting. Jalen Carter, Keely Ringo is good too.
I think, and Jimmy Kempsky had this the other day.
How about Christian Gonzalez and Noah Sewell?
I don't know about that. So Jimmy Kempsky had this the other day. I'll probably have this in a mock draft. Next week, we'll have our final mock drafts. The trade up at 10 and trade down at 30, right? Like trade up for Jalen Carter at 10, trade down at 30 into the second round. And
yeah, I think, not to take away from Jimmy, but I think that's what we've been talking about for the past month. I think that's
exactly
kind of chalk.
Exactly. Yes.
But yeah, I could see that.
And you've been calling it for a while now, trading up with the 2024 second round pick. You think that's the chip they're going to use, which makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you want to protect that first rounder next year, like in case, you never know what could happen.
Absolutely.
Right? And you've seen that time and time again where a team trades the first, they're like, we're going to be really good. It doesn't matter. And then, the quarterback gets hurt week 1 and you're
everybody. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you want to keep that first rounder, but I do think that second rounder will be ammo because they have 2 of them. And so the Saints one could be the one you trade.
Right.
So,
all right, last one, Zach. So they've drafted from the national champions each of the past 2 years. And we know that they like the big programs now. So we've got the 4 biggest programs in college football on the board here. Will the Eagles draft a player from either or any of Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, or Princeton? Yes or no?
Well, Michigan fans will take umbrage to this, right? Why is Ohio State over them? Michigan won this year. But will they draft? I am going with, I don't think they're going to draft a Princeton guy. No offense. I'm going 75-25. I think they're going to take either an Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State guy.
I have 79-21.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're going to draft one of those guys. But all right.
Which one do you think you think Georgia's most likely?
Yes, I think Georgia is the most likely. There are just more options.
Yes.
You could do Will Anderson, Brian Branch, I guess. Kind of tough to make that happen.
You also got to be thinking the next day too.
I know. I'm trying to think of.
Yeah. Like it could be, Chris Smith is the safety they take, or something of that nature. So.
Okay.
What about if that does it have to be where they finished? Does that be where they finished school? Can Drew Sanders count as an Alabama guy?
No.
Okay. So the Jalen Hurts thing isn't in effect.
Correct.
Okay.
How you feeling, Zach? You feel good?
I feel great. I love these pods. Draft pods are awesome.
You don't like the rest of them?
I did not say that, Bo. No, I enjoy the draft pods. I'm excited for next week. I feel like it's crept up on us, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I
feel like
agree.
a little bit less time this year.
Yeah.
It's the result of the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I like this game. I know you said this is like the lowest on the totem pole of games, but I like this one.
I think we need a.
Did you want to play along, Marissa? Should we redo it?
No. You don't have to redo it.
I think this though. If the Eagles take a Maryland player,
Yes.
Marissa wins.
Deal.
The
on
whole
that
game?
one.
That's not
The
fair.
whole game.
Hey. No, I think
I win on that one. I win on that.
Banks.
I get a point for that last one.
So Deontay Banks.
Deontay
or,
Banks, yeah.
How about she gets
Jalen
100
Duncan.
turkeys?
Jalen Duncan, yeah.
100 turkeys for what?
No, I'm trying to think of a way to.
No,
make
she
it.
should win this game. She should be the game
that's
winner.
ridiculous.
No,
we're not giving her pity.
It's not pity.
I got those points in Swooper because I am the reigning Swooper champion.
I mean, that's not true.
You got Raheem,
Literally not true. I'm the champion.
Raheem Jarrett, yeah.
You got
There's a
Raheem
lot
Jarrett.
of Maryland guys. This is, I think,
Dante Demas Jr.
Yep. This was in my recent memory. This is the most Maryland guys that could get drafted. I don't know. I don't have my facts on that.
Do you like Banks, Zach?
I like the profile.
I like him.
Right? Yeah. I like the profile. Like Ringo. Yeah. I wouldn't kill them for Banks. Good athlete, good coverage ability. He doesn't have Forbes' ball skills, but
That guy's gonna be out. He's not even gonna be in the league in his second contract.
I mean, 14 interceptions. Okay, 35 pass deflections. Right, this guy gets his hands on the ball,
which is impressive because I believe he's got really tiny hands.
He's got 8.5-inch hands. But yeah, he weighed in at 166 pounds. All right. This isn't a weightlifting contest, right? This is
big boy football, man.
He's a football player. Okay.
He's gonna get run over.
He is a football player.
Put that guy across from AJ Brown. What do you think is gonna happen?
He'll run with him in coverage.
No, he won't.
Okay.
Slice and dice. It's gonna be a tough scene.
We're apparently missing out on some controversy that James Harden just got ejected.
Oh, he just got ejected.
Yeah.
Wow.
Twitter's freaking out.
That's fun.
It's been a big day for Twitter freaking out. How are you guys feeling without your check marks?
Well, I got 34 text messages about this game.
How nice for you. You're so popular, Zach.
No, it's a thread that I have with some of my brothers. So how do I think about what?
How are you feeling without your check mark?
I mean, I'm worried that the Bo impersonators are going to come out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really. I mean, draft timing. Everyone, be very careful of the accounts you're getting news from.
Just get off Twitter. Can everybody get off so that I can afford to just get off and I don't have to be on there anymore? Please?
I agree. I think everyone's life would be a little better with a little less scrolling.
Yeah. But let's just end this thing.
Yeah, but I mean, you want people to find your articles. So if that's a mechanism.
Yeah, I would rather there was a better place for them to do it.
Okay.
That's why I want everybody to leave so that we don't have to be on there anymore.
Well, that's a market opportunity for you, Bo.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I'm going to do is I'm going to create new Twitter. That's what I got. I have the brain capacity to do that. I have the technical skills to do that. And I have the free time to do that. All of those things are possible for me.
That's how great ideas are born, right? Yeah. You identify a problem and you find a solution.
Get your boy Munger on it.
Charlie's a little old for that one, but
yeah, who's the ageist now? All right, that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. We will be back on Tuesday with the final Birds with Friends pre-draft extravaganza. We're gonna have a special guest. We're gonna do the Owl draft. Get 30 players who we think the Eagles might draft. Maybe we'll get a swooper. And then it's all fun and games after that. So lots of stuff coming on The Athletic as well. Stay tuned for that. For Zach and Marissa and Dave, we thank you for listening.
And Patricia.
And Patricia.
Yes, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's just good to see good things happen to good people. So
he might. I don't know him. You shouldn't say that without knowing him. So
yeah, I mean, it is. We can bring up a thing about the pencils and the laminated sheet. Like he's not even using those pencils. It's just an affect.
It's kind of ridiculous. It's true. It's true.
Anyway, for all of us, we thank you for listening. We will talk to you next week, and as always, we love you.